All right, you're good.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the maiden voyage of the Shoot Your Shot podcast. That's right. This is the first episode of the Shoot Your Shot podcast where my buddy and I are going to be talking all things college basketball. My name is John, and the voice you're going to hear soon is Aldo, who's been doing all the dirty work to get this podcast recorded and updated. Aldo, how's it going?
How's it going, John?
It's going well, man. Going well. I'm excited to finally be having this podcast up and running. Aldo and I are been buddies for a long time. We were college roommates, and we talk about basketball like this all the time. So it's exciting to finally get it recorded and shared out. Aldo, I know you got a pretty good story about how this podcast got started, and particularly around the name.
Oh yeah, it's been a long time coming, but yeah, we were driving down to Duke to the Duke Miami game a couple weeks ago, and we finally decided to pull the trigger and make a podcast. So we were thinking about the name. We didn't really know what to do with it. Came up with Shoot Your Shot because that's what 2017 is all about. It's about shooting your shot, kids. Whether you're 0 for 17 from the field, whether you have a hot girl in your class and you want to talk to her, just shoot your shot. So this is what this podcast is going to be about. We're going to bring you all of our college basketball talk, but have a little fun with it. And also because Seth Davis is a moron and just telling kids around the country to not shoot their shot when they're 0 for 17 from the field. He wants them to drive, but no. We have people like Steph that reach out, and yeah, we just want kids across the country to hear us talk about college basketball and remember to always shoot your shot.
Exactly right. I have a feeling that's not going to be the only time you throw Seth Davis under the bus on this pod.
Oh, not at all.
But yeah, it's all about shooting your shot. You know who shot their shot instead of driving to the basket? That was a Malik Monk against North Carolina. You remember that game?
Oh man, what a game. Probably the best game I've ever seen. Definitely the best game of this year so far. Just up and down. Unbelievable game.
Yeah, that game was wild. And I'm sure we will be talking about Kentucky and North Carolina plenty, but just wanted to chime in there. Everyone's got to shoot your shot. Malik Monk's doing it. Steph Curry's doing it. Shoot your spot, especially with the ladies. That was good advice to the folks in the classroom. Yeah, so this pod, so Aldo and I are going to be recording this pod every Friday, trying to get it out to you guys. And we're really just going to focus on everything college basketball. We're going to talk about some past games of the week, what caught our eye, some upcoming games, mostly around the weekend. We're going to give you our Vegas picks. So, stay tuned for that to try to win some money there. And then maybe most importantly, we're going to bring the mid-major minute, which is a specific segment just to talk about the little guys, everyone in those mid-majors, as Aldo and I are big fans of those other 26 conferences outside the power ones. So I think we should just jump right in. I mean, Aldo, right now it's January 31st, so we're only a few days removed from some awesome Villanova games at Marquette and hosting Virginia. What did you think of those two games for Villanova?
Both just, first off, great games overall. Villanova looked great in both games. I mean, it's tough to win on the road anywhere. They had the lead. They kind of threw it away there. Marquette came back. Caden Reinhardt just got real hot, brought them back. It's a great win for Marquette. Great win, I think, overall for the Big East, possibly getting another team into the field. So it doesn't really hurt Nova too much. And then the Virginia game, although people might not think it because the score was like 61-59, just one of the best games this year. It was just real intense. Two great teams. I give Virginia actually a lot of credit for coming into the Wells Fargo Center, keeping that one tight. But yeah, just both great games. Great win for Nova at home, and tough loss on the road. But that, like I said, doesn't really hurt them too much.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I mean, any kind of road victory is a good win, and going into Marquette and losing like that, there's really no shame. I'm glad you brought off Caden Reinhardt. He loves threes. He loves threes so much he's been to 3 schools. So this guy just refuses to go away. I mean, UNLV, that was the squad I really like following.
He's got as many schools as Trey Songz has songs.
Exactly right. Trey Songz, when you're named Trey Songz, you really lock yourself in on how many hits you can have. So Trey and Caton are really just good friends like that, I guess. Um, Unfortunately, this is going to be his last stop at Marquette, but man, did he make that count? I mean, that was a crazy comeback. Absolutely wild. Happy for those Marquette guys, and you're right, that really does put them in good shape to get into the field. But one thing I noticed about Nova that game, I mean, if you remember last year early on, they would fall in love with the three, and they shot something like 33 or 34 threes against Marquette, which was a really, really bad recipe for them. I mean, they can shoot it well. They can all shoot it well, but shooting that many threes is just going to be costly. And another thing there, Josh Hart is obviously the leader of that team and National Player of the Year candidate. But down the stretch, Jalen Brunson was getting a lot. The ball was in his hands a lot. And I've been impressed with him so far, kind of not taking over that team, but definitely becoming a reliable ball handler.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't get mentioned with the Fultzes and Lonzo Ball and all the great freshmen, or even Frank Mason, but he is a hell of a floor general. If I had to have one possession and I had a point guard and needed him to get the ball where it needed to be or take a big shot, it might be him. He's so heady and just not only shoots it well, but just always seems to play at his pace and just is a great point guard. And I would love to have him running my team.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that. I agree with everything. And there was a time when I thought he would be running our team.
Yes, yes.
So Aldo and I are both graduates at Temple University. Proud basketball tradition. What, fifth or sixth in all-time wins?
Yeah, I think it's fifth. So clearly we're one of the best basketball schools in the country, hands down.
I mean, there's no doubt that the numbers, the numbers speak for themselves. But long story short, Jalen's father actually played at Temple before going to the NBA, and a nice little recruiting tactic by Fran Dunphy was to try to get Jalen's father on the payroll, essentially have him be an assistant coach, and that was in the works until a few things went down at a massage parlor and a fake name, and essentially Temple wanted no parts of that. So Jalen ended up in Villanova.
Yeah, I think that Fran should have just kind of overlooked that, and we could have used Jalen. It's a hell of a player. So, but great for him. They won. He won national championship last year. Don't think that we could have offered him that. So
yeah, well, we could have offered it. Just don't think we could have come through on the promise.
True. Very true.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that was a crazy game, and then to go on the road at Marquette and lose in that fashion, and then come around and host a non-conference game like Virginia. I mean that was wild. That was at the Wells Fargo Center, which is where the Philadelphia 76ers play, and it was sold out. It was incredible. There was 20-some thousand folks at that game, and I'm going to be honest. For 38 minutes of that game, Virginia was taking it to them. I mean, Villanova had no answer for what Tony Bennett and the boys were doing.
Yeah, they really did. They looked like they were going to win the game pretty much the whole time. Villanova made a few big shots late, and they just came out with a win. But I mean, it was just a great game overall. Like I said before, just well played by two good teams. They both played great defense. Just real efficient. Like I said, the score wasn't that high. It wasn't like a UCLA Kentucky game getting up and down, but just great basketball. And then
and I just want to say, I mean, it's kind of funny. All these teams seem to have really, really off shooting nights against Virginia. I don't know what it is, but
I don't know.
It's just a really weird coincidence that for some odd reason. Guys go 0 for 7, 0 for 6 in the first half when they're averaging 20 points against Virginia. I'm sure that'll work itself out. But aside from the tip in by Dante DiVincenzo, or I guess what was he called at the end of the game? The Big Ragu.
Big Ragu, yeah.
The Big Ragu. I mean, I hate Ragu. You hate Ragu, but I think we both love that nickname.
Yeah, it's a great nickname. But you know who else needs a nickname? Ty Jerome.
Tell me about it.
Oh man, this kid, I fell in love with this kid during this game. This kid played like 30 minutes all year. He's the least heralded of the three recruits, or at least talked about. He was ranked pretty high. I think he was in the 40s or 50s by ESPN. But some people didn't even think he was going to play this year. They thought he might redshirt. But this kid comes in after playing like 30 minutes all year, and he's just like hop on. You have London Parentis, who's awesome, 4 year starter, and 5 minutes left in the game, and this kid's just taken over. And it's just awesome to see a freshman that barely played comes in shooting well and is just like, watch me go.
Yeah,
And he hit a couple huge shots. I think he had a steal. Like he was awesome. So I'm a huge fan of his now. I hope that he continues to get minutes. I know he's taking them from Kyle Guy, which is a shame, but this kid's awesome. So I'm a big fan. So I hope Tony keeps giving him some minutes.
yeah, he was phenomenal. He hit one of the deepest threes I've seen. I mean, not since Ethan Raggy and Doug McDermott came into that building and lit him up. But I mean, Ty Drummond, it was crazy. Actually, a few days prior, they were on the road at Notre Dame, and he actually had a little coming out party prior. I think he hung like 17 on Notre Dame. So he strung a few nice ones together. And you're right. This guy, he needs to get time if he's going to continue to hit big shots like that. I mean, he was shooting threes all game, and then he drove to the basket at the end to tie it up. That was really something. I was impressed with him, and just another get by Tony Bennett, who just seems to find these guys and groom them over the course of their careers.
Yeah, and he also another small thing too. He allows London to play off the ball sometimes too,
Mm-hmm.
so they can look to get London some more shots, which is always a good thing because
Yeah, no,
he's a hell of a shooter.
yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, what was it? 2 years ago, London was really just a distributor. Later on in his career, they've needed him to score more often, and he's delivered. He took Josh Harder off the bounce a few times, but you're right. Anyone who because Kyle Guy really isn't that guy who's going to allow London to work off the ball. But it sounds like they might have something here in Ty Jerome.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, so, so moving on to perhaps your favorite storyline. Another big game last night was Duke Notre Dame. I'm just going to turn it over to you here for a little bit because I know you have a lot of juicy takes on Duke's season so far.
Oh, I do for sure. Hopping in here since it's almost February already. This Duke team, it's a reality TV show. It's awesome. I'm not even a huge Duke fan. I respect them, but they are must see TV. They were 3-1 coming into the year for Vegas to win the whole thing. They were one of the biggest favorites in a while, probably since like Kentucky. I'm not even sure if Kentucky was that big to the start the year. Everybody had them winning the national championship. They have a few injuries early on. They never play with the same lineup. Then Grayson's back to tripping people. Then Kay's getting back surgery, suspends Grayson one game. The whole thing is absolutely amazing. But people didn't even realize that after their loss to NC State, like their resume was not that good. Like if they would have lost against Wake and Notre Dame, they would be on the bubble. They really didn't have much there until these two big wins. They're two huge road wins. And I don't know if it was them, you know, getting tired of wearing plain clothes or if they, just really, really had something that they left in the locker room and needed to get back in. But whatever it was, it worked. So they had two huge wins. Wake Forest is a solid team. That's a big win. Kennard just went off in the second half. He's awesome. That's another thing with Duke throughout the year. Kennard's because of all the injuries and even like the Grayson Allen tripping and everything. Kennard got off to such a fast start, and now everybody's back and healthy. And Tatum is a scorer; he takes like 15 shots a game, and Grayson is was a preseason National Player of the Year, All American last year. So I think they were kind of struggling a bit of whose team it was. So that'll be interesting to look at going forward.
Mm-hmm.
But Kennard went off. Last night I thought Grayson played very well against Notre Dame. But they handled Notre Dame. Notre Dame made a run late in the second half. I think they pulled it within one or two, but most of the game Duke had them at an arm's length. So yeah, so the Duke story just keeps getting better and better. If you haven't seen it yet, there's another video where Grayson's stomping on people. I don't know what his problem is. Um, but it's just a hilarious story to watch throughout the year. So I'm looking forward to see them the rest of the year and see if they can kind of put things together. I mean, they definitely have the talent to make a run,
Mm-hmm.
so I guess we'll see.
Yeah, and you mentioned that Notre Dame, was always held at an arm's length. Yeah, that is completely correct. Because they were getting what 1 point, and I had some financial interest in that game, and was just waiting for the comeback. But you're right, Duke held it off, and it's kind of crazy. You just gave a really great recap of the Duke season, with some of the wonderful storylines. Obviously, the most entertaining, in my opinion, is getting locked out of the locker room. Not something not something that's unprecedented, but always kind of funny, especially when it leaks like the way it did. But after all of that, how did you not mention the best high school prospect since LeBron James? The next Kevin Garnett. How did you not mention him?
He just tends to slip my mind nowadays. Harry Giles. I hope he turns it around. But man, the kid that was supposed to go number one overall. I know he's coming back from multiple knee injuries and all of that, but you got to show me something. Show me a flash here, or there. Um, you know, Show me something that's like, okay, well, he's going to take some time to get back, but there it is. I haven't seen anything in however many games he's played now. Um, yeah, I don't even have much to say on him. He's just been very underwhelming. I mean, he's been getting better, but I still haven't seen like a flash. Even I hate to compare him to Scal from last year from Kentucky, but
Right.
because he's definitely better than Scal. But Scal, at least you could see why people hyped him up a couple games. He stepped back. He had a pretty jump shot. There was a few games where he had the jump shot working. You're like, okay, 7-footer can stretch it. Got good, got good release. We kind of get it. Like he's not there yet, clearly,
Mm-hmm.
but we get it. I just haven't seen anything from Harry Giles. I haven't seen, um, anything on the offense or really defensive end. Yeah, so hopefully it's just, he's just working his way back, and hopefully we'll see something soon, because you hate to see that, especially for a kid that's so talented. But yeah, hopefully
Yeah,
he comes back.
yeah. I mean, I totally agree. I really haven't seen anything from him. I will say, in those last 90 seconds or 2 minutes of the Notre Dame game, he came up with a few big plays. And by
He
big,
did,
I
he
mean like
did.
putbacks and rebounds. But when you're struggling freshman, putbacks and rebounds, can be big. So, uh, yeah. Duke is a fascinating story this year, just with how much they have, and how different all these players are. But I always think I always want to mention Harry Giles in some way, just because he's the next Kevin Garnett, and how do you have a podcast without talking about the next Kevin Garnett? Um, yeah, I'm trying to think of what's kind of comparable to how he looks when he's out on the court. I know there've been so many good little analogies, like deer in a headlight, stuff like that. But it's almost like, when he comes out on the court, there's no confidence, and that's what kind of bothers me. He got in a lot of foul trouble along with every single person on the Duke roster last
He
night.
seems like he's always in foul trouble too. I feel like
Yeah.
he can't get a rhythm too, which can't help. But yeah, he seems like he's in and out. I mean, that could be also because like Capel is pulling him or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he hasn't seemed to put anything together.
Yeah. You're right. And Capel is trying to pull as many strings as he can to get this lineup right. That's totally valid. He hasn't had a lot of floor time to get things going. But just a fascinating story that I'm sure everyone will want to monitor throughout, and most people will be rooting against them as the name on the front of that jersey.
Well, they might not be able to see it if K comes back and they
Yeah.
start playing poor again. He might just have them playing pennies the rest of the year. So we'll see.
Yeah. Maybe they can just go hoodies up and
Oh, hoodies
and
up is the
get
way
it
to
going
go.
that way. Get it going that way. Anyone who didn't see get the hoodie up reference. Aldo and I, like you mentioned earlier at the beginning of the podcast, we're down at a Cameron for the Duke Miami basketball game, and Miami is a school that I've taken to. They came out of the locker room about 10 minutes before the game in these cut off hooded sweatshirts, just walking out onto the court with their hoods up. And it was badass, let me tell you. And I don't know if
the first half line was a lock. We didn't. If we would have known, they would have came hoodies up, all ready to go. The first half line, absolute lock.
You're right. The first half line was a lock, and good Lord, if that was an intimidation factor, did it work? Because what did Duke score? Something in the 20s. I mean, Miami was up a dozen or something at halftime, absolutely taking it to them. And then Cameron and the rest of the squad took over in the second half. But hoods up for sure. Whenever you got to be a badass and just getting someone's head, you got to go hoods up. So I mean, it's early in the week now, so we don't have too much to talk about in terms of past games. But one thing that I think is we're going to get a kick out of it is our mid-major minute. Aldo, you're definitely going to tee this baby up for us.
Yeah, so this is real important to us because a lot of other college basketball podcasts, they'll talk about the main stories and the upcoming games and what's happened. But to me, the reason that I started loving college basketball was because of the mid-majors. You have so many different styles and these schools that can put together a team for 1 year and make a run. It's just great. So I think that every week, at least we will at least talk about a team or conference, something involving the mid-major schools because, that's the reason that college basketball is so great is because of all these Cinderella teams that make runs and everything. So, yeah. I guess we'll get it started off. So this year is an interesting one with mid-majors. There's a lot of good teams, but early on not many helped themselves. They won a few games here and there. UT Arlington had some wins.
Mm-hmm.
UNC Wilmington, but nobody has a good enough resume right now to get in that large bid. Other than Gonzaga and St. Mary's, of course, if you want to consider them mid-majors. But even conferences like the A10 that used to get like 6 bids or the Mountain West that would get 3 or 4, the A10 is going to be if Dayton or VCU win that tournament, that's a 2-bid league. If the Mountain West is a 1-bid league no matter who wins the tournament.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's just crazy how far the mid-majors, their resumes have fallen, I should say, because there's still a bunch of good teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and those falling mid-major resumes have really opened things up for some of the bigger conferences in terms of how many teams the ACC is going to get in and stuff like that. There just aren't as many, not as many of these mid-majors that are coming to the table with a powerful resume. One you mentioned UT Arlington and UNCW. One who we really had some belief in early on in the year was your IPFW Mastodons, right after the game they pulled off.
Yeah, them too. They kept the Arkansas game close. They beat Indiana, which shout out to Tom Crean for coming to IPFW to play that game. But they beat a full strength Indiana, and then they haven't done well in conference, and that seems to be the thing. Like some of these teams that are picking up in conference play have awful out of conference resumes, and then the ones that actually did do some work out of conference have just kind of fallen off.
Yep.
So it's going to be real interesting. It's a shame that we might not have any at-larges, but then again, the committee might not put them in anyway. We had St. Mary's and Monmouth last year, probably both deserving to get in, neither did. But what it will do is it's going to make conference tournament week just insane.
Yep.
Because you're going to have a bunch of teams that are like really good teams, but they all need to win. Especially like I was saying, the A10. If Dayton or VCU don't win that, that whole tournament is just going to be nuts. Because there's like 4 or 5 other teams in the A10 that are really solid teams. They just don't have the resumes to get in without winning the tournament.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, I mean, are there any specific mid-major teams you want to focus on right now? I know I have two I want to speak on, but I'll let you get after it first.
Well, I mean, UNCW, I was hoping they're awesome. If you get a chance to watch them, they get up and down. They play like four guards and a 6'7" dude. Um, it's pretty much the same team that gave Duke a kind of a run last year in the first round. So yeah, they're really good. I wouldn't want to get matched up with them in the first round. Um, I was hoping they were like 18-2, 8-0 or 9-0 in conference. Finally, took an L in the conference play. I think that they might have needed to go undefeated to get in that large. So we'll see. They do play College of Charleston one more time. So maybe if they go unblemished and then lose to Charleston in the championship game, they'd end up being probably something around the lines of like 27-4. Maybe they'll have a shot. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope they get in, but that it's going to be tough because the Colonial Tournament this year is in Charleston, and Charleston's a good squad. I don't know if that's one of the ones you were going to talk about,
Yeah, yeah.
but they're a good squad. So it's actually gonna be tough for them, in my opinion, to even make the tournament, just because of having to play the tournament most likely against Charleston at their home court.
Yeah, I mean, right. So College of Charleston's the other team I wanted to focus on, but I did watch a little bit of that, the most recent UNCW loss at William and Mary, and holy smokes, William and Mary can score when they're at home. It was incredible. I mean, that got broken open to like a 15-point lead and never looking back. Um, but yeah, I mean, the Colonials really fascinating, and you hit the nail on the head on the biggest element of it is that the conference tournament is going to be at College of Charleston, and College of Charleston is probably going to get the 2 seed. I think they can still make a case for the one if they take UNCW and maybe another game or two. But that is a steep mountain to climb for UNCW because College of Charleston actually hosts the Charleston Classic, which is a tourney early in the year. And although they lost all 3 games, Charleston played Villanova, UCF, and Wake Forest relatively close. I mean, you can look at the scores and you'll think otherwise, but those were close games. So Charleston at home is going to be a really tough one for Wilmington if that matchup does happen. I actually spent my Saturday afternoon watching College of Charleston play at Drexel here in Philadelphia. I just kind of wanted to see what the hype was about. I'd watched them on TV a few times, and I got to say, I was impressed. I mean, the coolest thing about this team is they don't even play a senior. So whatever you learn about College of Charleston this year, don't forget about it next year because they're all going to be back. But they roll out a lineup that a lot of mid majors can't. I mean, their power forward 6'7" and their center is 6'10", so they have size to combat with some of these big boys if they do end up dancing. Don't get me wrong, it's not an intimidating 6'10" and 6'7", but at least they can roll it out there. So I think College of Charleston is a team that I will be rooting for come conference tournament time, surely because I mean they're fun. They got a nice young coach, and they could do some damage come tournament time.
Yeah, and that's what we're all looking for. We're looking for that team, uh, you know, to to make the run to the Sweet 16, and that way you can tell all your buddies, oh yeah, no, I filled that in. Which is another topic that I just wanted to talk about real quick. Because of um, some of the stronger mid majors this year, all like having to win the tournaments. If they do, some of the teams like the UNCWs and Middle Tennessee States, they're going to be the sexy pick that
Mm-hmm.
everybody is talking about. Because there's not as many teams with strong resumes and whatnot. I think you're going to have a lot of pools where everybody's picking the same mid major. Now I know there's always one or two where people usually pick them anyway, but I know last year like Iona, South Dakota State, Stephen F. Austin, like there was a whole bunch of teams where people were all over the place. Oh, I like this upset. I like this upset. Where this year, if UNCW and Middle Tennessee State get in, I think everybody's going to take them, and like no one really is going to know about any other teams. So I think it's good to keep an eye on some of these teams that are hot. Like I was saying, don't maybe have the resume out of conference, but are hot
Hmm.
in conference play. One of those teams is Vermont. I watched them the other day against Albany, and they actually just won a big game at Stony Brook, who was also I think they were second in the conference. They're not, you think of the old Vermont team that upset Syracuse with what was his name? Um, I'm drawing a blank on it now, but the big white guy that would stroke it from deep. You think Vermont, they shoot a lot of threes, but this team really doesn't. They drive it. They've got a good guard and another 6'6" player, Lamb, that they all just drive to the hoop. They play good defense. So they'll be an interesting matchup if they can get, if they can get someone good in the first round. If they line up with Kentucky. I would not recommend anybody taking Vermont. But I think they can, if they get another like kind of slow pace playing team, even like a Cincinnati, I think that there's someone to keep an eye on. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if, like I said, if like UNCW and Middle Tennessee State are the only two like bigger name teams that get in because there's no A10 teams that are really going to be in there or Mountain West.
Hmm.
You know, it'll be interesting to see if everybody ends up just taking the same couple upsets in the first round.
Yeah, I think that you brought up a good point. I mean, everyone tries to get those sexy picks, the "I told you so" picks, and these small schools are always going to be them. So, well, I mean, we'll see how the bracket shakes out. It's going to be fascinating, but you're right. We're going to get a lot of one and two bid leagues coming out. To wrap up the mid-major minute, I just want to say we talked about the A10 a lot. If you haven't watched Richmond yet, please do yourself a favor and watch them, and particularly TJ Klein. This kid is awesome. He's a big. I mean, they play him at center. What's he? Probably 6'7", 6'8", 6'9".
Yeah, probably 6'7"
Awesome.
tops.
I mean, yeah, yeah. I was giving him the benefit of the doubt, but I mean, he is phenomenal. He is a triple double threat constantly when it comes to rebounds, assists, and points. I think they're in first place right now in the A10. So like you said, if VCU and Dayton are able to pull it off, maybe Richmond's kind of in the discussion, but before his career is over, which is going to be in a few months, I highly recommend finding time to watch TJ Klein in Richmond. He's a real treat.
Yeah, I think he actually had a triple double this last game that he played, like
He
34, 12, and 11 or something along those lines.
Yep, he did, and I remember because I was kind of ticked because I actually went to go see him play live again at St. Joe's, and he came up one assist short of a triple double, which would have been my first collegiate triple double in person. And then TJ goes off and he does it a week or two later. So yeah, so he has at least one in the books, but this kid's really special, and they center the whole offense around him. It's very cool. Yeah, so I mean, moving on to some of the games that are upcoming this week, we've highlighted a few. I think one of the biggest ones that Aldo and I really like because we are late night guys and we love the 11 o'clock tips is Arizona Oregon. You want to take Arizona and I'll take Oregon, as I know you have an interest in Zona.
Oh, you don't want to bet against Arizona right now. They honestly, actually, they haven't played very well the last two games. They've won, and I don't know if they've covered in both, but they've struggled actually
No,
in both
they did
games.
not cover against Washington.
They
Trust
did
me.
not, yeah. But so they haven't actually played that well after that big UCLA win. But they still put it together and ended up winning comfortably. But man, they are good. They were good, getting really good before Trier came back, and
Hmm.
now he's all hopped up on steroids and he's back. But yeah, no, all joking aside, Trier just makes them a legit Final Four contender. Sean Miller was putting his name in for Coach of the Year with what he was doing. I think they were like 18-2, and then the whole Trier thing broke where he took PEDs unknowingly. I guess he was in a car accident in the off season,
Hmm.
but won an appeal, so he was able to play, but he had to wait until it cleared his system fully. So that broke a few weeks ago. And then the night before the big UCLA game, they trot him out. I guess he was all clean, ready to go. I still kind of do wish they waited until the tournament to trot him out just Sweet 16, big game, and then Trier comes off the bench. That would have been
you,
amazing. But
you know what he could have done for that? He could have gone, "I'm back," and
yeah,
then
he could
just
have.
shocked the world.
He could have, and then they could have made a run to the Final Four, and won it all would be nice for some people.
Yeah, some people are sitting on a nice little ticket that would pay them off as such.
But yeah, but that game, that's going to be an awesome game. UCLA's kind of not fallen off, but had a couple tough losses. So the Pac-12 might come down to win the Pac-12 at least. Might come down to Oregon and Arizona. So this is a huge one.
Yeah,
And well, Oregon took the loss at Colorado. But they've been playing awesome. They won, I think it's like 16 in a row or something along those lines before that. So yeah, this one will be a great game.
yeah. I mean, and it's the only matchup between Arizona and Oregon. So Oregon, gets the lucky draw here and gets to host Arizona the only time that these two teams are going to match up. And you're right. I've watched a lot of Arizona lately. They are not getting enough love nationally. I mean, they have dude after dude on that team. It's crazy. And they are a legit threat. And you'd happen to know where the Final Four is, right? It's actually right in their backyard, I think. So this could be a special year as the stars align for Sean Miller and the gang. But you're right. Oregon's gonna have to bounce back here. They have a Thursday night slate hosting Arizona State, which is a nice little tune-up game. They should probably win that by 20 or 30, and then they get Arizona at home on Saturday. This team started out, if you remember, way back in November, they were 2-2. They lost to Baylor and Georgetown.
The great Georgetown team that is
The,
this year.
the great Hoyas team, John Thompson III is just shattering his father's records. He's really stepping out of the shadow. I was actually at a bar in Georgetown, and somebody walked up to John Thompson Sr. and said, "Aren't you John Thompson's the third father?" So I mean, it's really switched down there. What's going on? It's crazy. They do have a win over Oregon. That counts for something, I guess.
Yeah, I mean they're playing better, all jokes aside. But yeah, I mean that was also I'm not sure if Dylan Brooks played in that game or he was just coming back. But
Right.
once Dylan Brooks was got fully healthy and they got their whole team integrated and whatnot, they were clicking. They looked like one of the best teams in the country, and they still.
Yeah. Yeah, and they still are. They are also a Final Four threat. I mean, if they're able to stay healthy, folks kind of wrote them off after that start, and then you said it. They rattled off 16 straight. The first team to take down UCLA back when UCLA was clicking and was everyone's sexy national championship pick, and they've kept it rolling. They fell victim to the treacherous mountain road trip in the Pac-12. Were able to hang on at Utah and then took the loss to a Colorado team that's been pretty disappointing. But they're bouncing back and coming up for this Oregon game, so this Zona game. So I'm really excited for it, and that's really going to give whoever wins a leg up to take the number one seed going into the Pac-12 tournament.
Yeah, those they're both great teams. Another huge game this weekend is Florida and Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is just big for the SEC in my opinion. Florida has got to at least put up a good showing. South Carolina, the SEC right now only has three solid teams, if you want to call it that. Um, Kentucky, Florida, and South Carolina. I mean, Arkansas maybe, Georgia maybe can make the tournament, but right now it's just three teams. So if Florida gets run out the building, Kentucky would have run them and South Carolina out the building. It's just a bad look for the SEC. So I really hope that Florida, they're a great computer team. I think KenPom has them. I want to say it's like 12 or 16, something ridiculously
Yeah,
high.
I think they're
Um,
10 right now.
is
Yeah,
it
it's
10?
wild.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, I love KenPom and I go on it every day. But man, they are not the 10th best team in the country. They're good though. They are good, and I really do hope they put up a fight. But yeah, that's a game that like I was saying, it's just kind of Florida needs to show up to kind of say like, oh hey, the SEC does have another team.
Yeah, I mean, team after team have not shown up in Rupp Arena, at least in the SEC. I mean, Kentucky's been smashing everyone in the SEC. They took those two out of conference losses, but yeah, I mean, the second best team in the SEC, in my opinion, is South Carolina. I mean, Florida's kind of lost that title. They dropped to about a week or two ago to South Carolina and Vanderbilt. So yeah, Florida needs this, um, and I mean, I hope they get it just because I'm a big Mike White fan. I like what the Florida program's looking like now. But yeah, you're right. They their metrics are so good, and they were ranked for some portion of the year. But I mean, this is a big one, just to give Kentucky some type of competition.
Yeah, people were saying they were going to go undefeated in conference play, which is just hard to do in general. They took that loss to Tennessee, um, but honestly, it's very tough to go undefeated in any conference, even the great SEC.
Yeah, yeah, and I just want to see Kenyon Barry get fouled a few times.
Yeah,
That's
I mean
really.
that's all that college basketball is about. Seeing Canyon shoot underhand free throws, and if you haven't
Yeah,
seen him play yet either, watch him. He can actually play, and he shoots underhand free throws, so it's
yeah.
a win-win.
And what team he would be on if he wasn't on Florida?
The College of Charleston. What a
College of
team that would have
Charleston.
been, huh?
Man, that would be a squad. We'd be talking about them as a getting a bid for sure if Canyon was still there.
Oh, definitely. They might have won that Charleston Classic. Well,
You know
besides
what?
besides besides Villanova.
I wouldn't put it past them. Wouldn't put it past them. And then one more game I think we should touch on here is Xavier Creighton. I
The
don't know what
sad,
you.
the all sadness
Yeah,
game.
it really is.
It's
It's
just I don't
the
even know if I
emotional
want to
letdown.
watch it.
The emotional letdown game. I mean, I don't know how you want to build this one, but basically, two really really promising Big East teams that have caught the injury bug at the worst time at the worst position.
Yeah, the Mo Watson one really hurt. I know both of us love this Creighton team, and it's a real shame. They were having a lot better year than not that Xavier wasn't having a good year, but this Creighton team they really put it together. They were Final Four good, and they just lost one of the most important players in the country, and it's really just a shame because teams like Creighton don't get to have seasons like this all the time. And they were fun to watch too. They put up so many points. They ran up and down.
Mm-hmm.
So that one was just a shame. And then, Edmund Sumner just tore his ACL this week. And that's another killer for Xavier and for the Big East. I mean, the Big East was looking like a few weeks ago. The ACC clearly had more teams, but the Big East, man, with Villanova, Butler, Creighton, Xavier, and then the way like Marquette is playing now, and even Georgetown's picking it up, like that was a hell of a conference, and it really the injuries just killed it. Now you have Villanova, Butler's coming down to earth, and that's really it. That's going to really do any damage because Creighton lost it and Xavier lost it, so it's a real shame. But it'll be an interesting game just because both teams, got to try and reinvent themselves. And they should both still make the tourney. Xavier's got to watch out. You can't be throwing games away that you shouldn't be losing. But yeah, it's a sad game, but it is a very interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. You touch on just about everything there. Uh, One thing that'll be interesting is Mo Watson actually got injured at Xavier earlier in this year in the first half, and at home against a Mo Watsonless Creighton team, Xavier was not able to complete the comeback. So Creighton actually beat Xavier at Xavier without Mo Watson for half the game, which is incredible. I mean, Xavier does not lose at the Cintas Center like that. So that was really incredible. And I mean, honestly, you and I were both at CenturyLink earlier this year for the Wisconsin game. If that crowd is alive, which I know they will be, I'm skeptical Xavier's going to be able to keep this one, be able to sneak this one out.
Is that your
It's
is that your lock of the century of the week? And
oh
we don't even know the line yet.
no. I'm gonna have to save that one. But I'm just saying, uh, I, I was watching that Creighton game when Mo Watson went down. My heart, totally went out to the guy. I lost a wonderful, wonderful ticket for a team to win the championship. And then I also took Xavier second half, and they weren't able to do it. I mean, this Xavier team has had some good performances, but they're not the team that was a 2 seed last year that took Wisconsin to the buzzer beater. I don't know what it is, and the loss of Sumner is not going to help that. I mean, you hinted at kind of the lock of the century of the year. I'm not going to go that far, but at the conclusion of the pod, we do like to give you some picks. So I guess the only lines that we can peek now are the Tuesday night lines. Aldo, you wanna give a few?
Yeah, I think if anyone's into making free money, I would recommend taking Akron -3.5 against Northern Illinois. I know it's a road game. All road games are tough, but Akron has had the MAC on lock. They've actually looked real good. They could be one of those nice write-ins, to get some props from your pool mates. So I like them to win
Mm-hmm.
handedly. I also like Georgetown. I think that they should take care of the ball. They've been playing better as of late. Maybe the first half line depends what you can get the line at. Um, but yeah, I like Georgetown in that one to win handedly. So those are my two picks for this Tuesday night. It's not too eventful, but you never let a good line go to waste. This whole
Exactly.
podcast is about shooting your shot. Whether it's Friday night and there's a double A MAC game on, and you like the line, but you're like, it's a double A MAC game. You shoot your shot. You take it. A good line is a good line.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So to recap, there you got Georgetown minus what'd you get about Georgetown minus
Georgetown -8.
Georgetown -8 at DePaul, and your Akron is Akron at Northern Illinois -3. So you're laying points on the road there. Good luck to you, sir. I'm going to come with two smaller games on this Tuesday night. I like Central Michigan +8 at Buffalo. Central Michigan has the nation's leading scorer, Marcus Keene. He has the ultimate green light, and he is a joy to watch, standing at 5 foot something. So I like them to cover at Buffalo. And then I like Fairfield. What was it, -1 or maybe -2 at home against Manhattan. And so, a little double A MAC action there. So those are my two picks for Tuesday. We'll keep a running tally all year of how we're doing. And, not Creighton Xavier, but eventually we'll be coming out with some stone cold locks of the week, of the century, of the year. But like Aldo said, shoot your shot, man. There's always money to be made, and don't let a good line go to waste.
Yes, sir.
So as we're signing off here, we like to we just talked a whole bunch about college basketball. Now we're going to go into a little segment called Let It Fly. So Aldo, you can talk about anything you want. Let it fly. What do you got for us today?
Since it's our first podcast, I'd like to give a shout out to my brother Gino and my cousin Joe. They helped us out with the technical side of this. John and I, we just look at lines all day, and we do have real jobs, but we look at lines mostly all day and watch a lot of college basketball. So they helped us. They helped us out getting this all set up. So the first Let It Fly goes out to them. But don't worry, I'm sure that one of these weeks I'll have a nice bad beat that I'll be complaining about for my Let It Fly.
I like it. I like it. So my Let It Fly today has nothing to do with college basketball or this podcast, but shout out to Gino and everyone for getting us set up here. This weekend, I caught a lot of shit for ordering a strawberry milkshake at a diner on Saturday. And
Those people are wrong. Those people are wrong.
Those people are wrong. Strawberry milkshake is the best kind of milkshake. There's really no debate about it. So I just want to say, let it fly and shoot your shot. If you want to order a strawberry milkshake, do it, and don't let your friends and your haters impact you. Strawberry milkshakes are the best milkshakes.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of friends you have, but yeah, they're wrong, and you shoot your shot, John, and the rest of you. Just remember, shoot your shot. Whether you're 0 for 17 or you want to talk to the hot girl next to you, just shoot your shot.
Damn right. So like you said, we'll be coming back hopefully every week with a similar podcast. Thanks so much, everyone.
All right, that was solid.
Yo, I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I might try and see if I can pull some segments.
Yeah.
Maybe even like, or maybe like, I don't know. I'm gonna re-listen to it, but like honestly, up until like the part where the picks come in, like we could even just like refilm. If it sounds all good, like we could even
Yeah.
just redo the picks part. Um, maybe.
Yeah, I almost agree. I think we should redo the picks part and maybe just set a little bit of time aside for like whatever happens these next 2 days with
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Kansas
We can.
Baylor.
Yeah, or maybe even get rid of the upcoming game section, but like
Yeah,
keep
and
the.
right, because those were all Saturday games.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, I guess we could keep that.
yeah. We could keep that.
But just talk about like I think we should just talk about some games that happened like over the next 2 weeks. But yeah, that was really good.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna stop broadcasting. I don't know if it's gonna hang us up.